welcome, Linda Michaels. You must be like one of my speakers of honor. So I'm super proud you made it to this summit today. This summit is all about making dog ownership a breeze with the right responsibility. And I don't actually like the word dog ownership. I like the word guardianship, right? Because we're the guardians of our dogs. We're not the owners of our dogs. And why I love to have you are actually covering one of the points which is so close to my heart. It's the do no harm dog training method. And it's not only a method, it's also a question of ethics, and it's a question of respect, and a very urgent need in our days and times to actually make sure that the world is actually expanding this method rather than, punishing dogs, choking dogs, and whatever we see out there. So welcome, Linda Michaels. You're a real pro. So I'll give you the stage and let you introduce yourself.
Oh, hi, Peggy. Well, and hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I just love what you said. Yes, the do no harm movement in dog training is something that I have devoted my career to. So, my background, probably the most important thing about what I've done is to work in a shelter, volunteering and training. And I did that for 5 years while I was finishing my master's degree, where I researched in neurobiology, but was having difficulty finding a subject for a master's thesis.
Oh, interesting.
And okay. I got really worried because I had been told if you are not dedicated completely to your topic, you will never finish thesis. And I began to see that was probably true. And so I asked my best friend, I was talking to my best friend about this problem I had, and that I needed to find something before my window for graduation and my mentors and my committee dissolved. And she said, well, what do you love? And I thought, that's not nerdy. That's not academic. That's a silly question.
What a strange question to ask.
Yeah, so I said, I love dogs. And she said, well, why don't you go down to the Humane Society and ask them if you can do a study with their dogs? Wow. And my eyes just must have been this big. And I lit up because it was one of those moments. It was like, yes, I found it. That's what I want to do. I got on the phone right away. I was like, may I have an interview with, anyway, that's how I got involved at the shelter and was able to learn about applying what I had learned in my graduate training in psychology and animal behavior to dogs, and particularly to abandoned dogs with separation distress.
Yeah.
So, one thing led to another, and I started practicing privately. But first I did pet sitting with training.
Okay. So you took dogs in, trained them, and then returned them to their owners, or how did that work?
Just the opposite.
Oh, really?
I went and moved in with the client, and I had wealthy clients. Having a master's degree helps to attract a certain type of client, with the academic education. And when they went to Europe, hey. Or, on a vacation, I would move in to their place and work with their dogs and their dogs' problems. So this has been a real education for me, because I've lived with, about at least 50 different dogs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Different breeds, different problems, different environments and situations in the home. and have had to tackle these problems because when well, we call them pet parents, or
Yeah,
I call them pet
of
parents. In the
course.
United States, I know guardians, so you
Yeah.
have to, you
Yeah,
know,
sure.
bear with me. And part of the reason that I call them pet parents is because of the similarities
Mm.
between toddler brain,
Yes.
and dog brain. So
True.
my background in behavioral neurobiology in studying brain anatomy and function has helped me in ways that I could not have imagined in, what I do today. But
Yes.
that whole idea of parenting our puppies, particularly, but for life,
Yeah.
parenting our dogs is helps people develop empathy for them when
Yes.
they
Absolutely.
they have the brain of a 2 or 3 year old child.
Absolutely. And that's kind of also, I mean, in your book, I think you're also covering the needs, right? The hierarchy of the needs of the dog, which is an interesting concept.
Yes. And so just a little show and tell.
Ah, yeah, there it
This is the hierarchy of dog needs,
Mm-hmm.
and it is critically important because magically, dog magic, meeting unmet needs in dogs, like understanding what their real needs are and meeting those needs, resolves behavior problems.
Mm, right.
That's the magic of it. So
It's
you
that simple, is it? It's that simple.
no, no, it's not that
It's not
simple.
simple, right? It's not that simple.
No,
No,
it's
no,
not that. But I really have tried to simplify um the understanding of the needs, and the hierarchy of dog needs is adapted from Maslow's hierarchy of human needs.
yes.
So I've learned in my graduate program that learning principles apply across species.
Oh,
So whether I'm working with a wolf dog or a fox, which I
mm,
have one of the Belaya foxes,
yes.
or a dog, or if it's dolphin training, or chimpanzees, bonobos, mice, rats, which are often used in research
Yes.
because of our similarities.
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
And we take what we learn in that research and apply it to humans.
Yeah.
And now I would like to see what that research applied for the benefit of animals, for
Right.
dogs, say. And that's happening more so than in the past. But the hierarchy of dog needs, yes, it's free. It's available free, and it is translated in 13 different languages now. And
Yes.
I have a pile of requests on my desk for other languages, and I just don't have enough resources to
Make
accommodate.
it all happen. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, talking about this hierarchy, obviously you have the first one is the biological needs, which is very same as for us. So it's basically food and, you know, food and all the rest of it. So which makes us actually stay alive. And then the dog has the emotional needs next, doesn't it?
Right.
So
Yeah.
where do you see the challenge when a family gets a dog? The biological needs, I think, can be met by, simplistic, if we are very simplistic about this. I mean, you can learn about how to feed your dog and how to walk your dog, but this emotional needs part is actually the second most important one, right? So where, Linda, do you say this is the point where people really have to pay close attention to?
Right from the start and
Mm,
every day,
right.
the secure attachment, in psychology, that's what it's called when you are bonded
Yes.
properly. with a carer. And this is where the human, and particularly the toddler puppy, comparison to adults is very cogent, and we need to understand that emotional needs are similarly important as our biological needs.
Yeah.
Often if we can use anthropomorphizing and analogies and think about, for example, how important emotional well-being and safety is for us.
Yeah.
It's on our minds all the time. Like, is it
Very
safe
true.
for me to talk to you? I mean, is it safe for me to, walk down the street in my neighborhood? Not physically safe, but am I going to feel
Safe.
that I'm, able to be free enough to feel safe? And that safety is critically important, and also it's perceived safety. It's not always that if you're, for example, your dog is barking and lunging, and it's we don't think that it's a problem. That doesn't mean that it's not a problem for the dog. It's very real for the dog. And they are, for example, receiving all kinds of communications from the other dog that we don't know about, that we cannot read the body language. We're not on that level eye to eye with that other dog, and we think, oh, it's nothing, it's safe. Well, have we considered that the dog is on a leash? So the dog is trapped, cannot, what would be typically the first option is to run away from perceived danger. Cannot run away. So what choices do they have? So putting ourselves in our dogs' moccasins, so to speak, emotionally, and trying to understand how we can make their lives safe. And that, includes all feeling safe with all the people in the family, not the main carer, but everybody.
Yes, absolutely. The kids, the other animals.
Visitors, yes. The other dogs. The yard. Does the yard feel emotionally safe? Or do you perhaps have neighbors with an aggressive display dog? Are there children coming by, like maybe teasing your dog? Are there outdoor hazards? One of the chapters in my book is about indoor shelter, and I researched outdoor hazards, in terms of parasites and snakes and weather conditions and all kinds of things that, we might not even think about when we put our dog out in the yard. But
our dog feels it, right, and sees it. And I think also, Linda, they do, because they do not speak, they kind of absorb many more things which might be not visible or not even tangible for us, right? I feel with my dogs, they kind of perceive their environment in a very different way, meaning with much more attention to details than us, because we get distracted, right? There's a neighbor chatting, there's a horn, there's a horn of a car, then we think about business. I mean, we are distracted much more. I find my dogs are much more tuned in, I think that's the word I would say, to their environment.
Right. I agree. They absolutely are, because for them, it's there is that distraction element with humans that you spoke about. I mean, we're like looking at our phones all the time. We're walking the dog, but we're not paying any attention to the dog's experience. And so, dogs, safety, emotional and physical safety are critical for survival.
Yes.
So this is why it's imperative upon all of us to make sure, we don't get distracted if we don't feel safe. If we don't feel safe, we get very focused.
Yes.
So, and our dogs are very perceptive, as you said, particularly with understanding humans.
Mm,
They're watching us all the
totally.
time.
Totally. And it's so funny. It's so funny you mentioned that because I always, if I walk my dogs and then I typically have like multiple dogs, right? So I need to be present. When my phone rings, I swear to God, Linda, they feel it. I mean, two of them will never do anything, but two of my dogs, I know if I'm on the phone, they will go and look for the next rabbit, or, they go and, I mean, they will come back, but you kind of go, seriously? I mean, it's because they feel your energy and your attention is not with them. You're not bonding in that moment, right? So you're not actually present. I think that's the word I would want to use.
Quite.
Right.
So I think that it's imperative that, talking about safety also, so that if, the yard is safe, we also need the neighborhood to be safe.
Yes.
If our dogs to feel that the neighborhood is safe when we go on a walk, so we can adjust what we're doing in order to secure that bond with our dog, for our dogs to feel that they are safe when they are with us, that we're going to take care of them. And that is our job and responsibility as a carer, and having them on a leash where they're unable to run away from perceived danger.
Yes.
Learning to read dog body language.
Very important.
Very, yeah. And, because our dogs are talking to us all the time. You mentioned that they are voiceless. Yes. But they are speaking to us with body language and vocalizations and behavior. So when you see a dog trying to hide or to run behind you on leash, that's like a huge message.
Yeah, huge, right? It's like huge, like help.
If you are running away from something, how scared will we have to be to actually try to run away from something? Pretty scared. So these are, the dogs are wearing their emotions on their sleeves, so to speak.
That's what I spend most of my time with, because you're a professional. I'm not a professional. I'm a professional dog lover, I would say. But that's what I help people with, right? Those day-to-day things, as you just said, like read the basic body language of your dog. You don't have to be a specialist, but if you're a bit observant and you know your animal and you have a bond, you will be able to get so many messages, and that's super important. So Linda, on your book, the Do No Harm Dog Training, can you give us yay? It's actually, you can order that on Amazon, right? So I did order it already. So it's on its way. I want to read it. I haven't read it yet. I have obviously read some stuff about
it, but I think we crossed wires or something. But
yes. So now, of course, without telling us everything, but could you give us like 2 or 3 insights of the book where you go, this is really there are some core messages I want to provide everybody with?
Well, the first core message, I think, is the mission of first do no harm. Is the Hippocratic Oath from 400 BC, and all organizations, psychological societies and medical societies have a first do no harm ethic.
Yeah.
And so the hierarchy of dog needs is a guide with an ethical foundation. There is no punishment. I have here listed, and each of these sections is a big section in the book, not only the biological needs, but they're important. I mean, nutrition.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you imagine we could not go to the grocery store, or if we could not open the refrigerator?
I know.
Our dogs are completely dependent upon our graciousness and our intelligence and knowledge to feed them a biologically appropriate diet, right? And to not be stingy.
Yeah, true. Absolutely.
With training. And so all of these methods here, back to do no harm, are the methods that force-free, do no harm trainers can use, and pet parents, guardians can use safely, and not cause any emotional fear. I have, clients who have put this on their refrigerator, which I love. And they say when they have a problem, they go and they look and they make sure. This is so cute.
So true. Yeah, because I feel that sometimes when I lose my patience, my voice gets loud. And of course, I have dogs and dogs, right? Some dogs go, oh, she has one of her moments, right? And some dogs will go, like they get a real, like you see their body language goes, it's a bit like humans, really, because some humans you scream at and they still don't get the message, and
others give just a little dirty look, and they're like,
and go, oh my god, what do that? Right? Yeah. So
again,
right?
when we can look at ourselves as a species, it helps us to understand, like you were just talking about, that individual variation and what a different response each dog can have. So anyway, my first message is do no harm in the book, and showing people how to establish that secure bond with their dogs. And it is, can be done through training. Should be fun. Training should be exciting for your dog. Training is, so, and of course, loaded with high value treats, and food is a primary reinforcer. And, I could tell you the research about little Albert and little Peter and counter conditioning. I use a lot of dog examples in the book.
Right. Good.
Help with understanding some of the concepts like Premack principle. But one of the important things is puppies. Having the opportunity and the responsibility of caring for a puppy is one of the great joys in life. And it is very important. It's incumbent upon us to learn about this other species that we've brought into our home.
Absolutely.
Their needs are, and to learn how to care for their needs and to provide them with enriched environments that cater to what they would like to do.
Yes. Right.
So creating the doggy enrichment land is also one of the main focuses in my book. It's a space that we can create for our dogs to be a preferred space, loaded with, all kinds of activities and scents and objects and looky mats and food puzzle toys. I have in my group, my 87,000 member Do No Harm Dog Training Facebook group.
Yes.
I have members come and they show me photographs of what they set up. And I've got like jungle gyms and
very cool.
Room half full of cardboard for the dog to rip up the cardboard, and like swimming pools full of those plastic balls, and dogs just love to just jump in those. So, creating a dog-centric environment, at least in one corner of your home.
Of your home. Yeah, totally.
And this, again, meeting this need, going back to what I said at the start, meeting this need for enrichment and novelty resolves behavior problems in that your dog, this can be used for house training.
Sure.
Enclosure. It can be used for dogs and babies to give a new mom, her emotional peace of mind, so that she knows the dog is happy and the baby's safe.
Is happy. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I've gone through that with my boy as well. Absolutely. So important.
And for greeting visitors, so that instead of, for example, having your dog run to the front door with you, no, because Dogs
No.
bred to guard. It's
Yes.
our nature. We guard, we resource guard. As
Yeah.
humans, we live
Yeah.
in little boxes.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Where you
it's
lock the doors. Absolutely.
we don't just let people come and take our stuff,
True.
And so thinking, understanding that our dogs in spades guard resources, and they are bred to guard the property.
Yeah, they
You
are.
work with your dog to the door, to expect your dog to be nice to who's ever on the other side of the door is against their genetic
Nature.
content. Yeah, that's their
Absolutely.
genetic. So what you can do instead, using do no harm doggy enrichment land, is to have that space set up, that
Right.
preferred space, and make the doorbell be the predictor of, oh, we're going to run doggy enrichment land.
Yeah.
And in there, I'm going to toss some high value, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
And so that's what happens when the doorbell rings. And you give your dog an opportunity to accept the fact that, oh, there's a visitor in the house and they're talking to mom and they seem to be okay. And mom's throwing me some treats while the visitor is there. And then maybe, if safe, the visitor will toss some treats. And
Yes.
before you know it, a dog that used to aggress at the door because of our lack
of understanding. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
We
Absolutely.
can change that picture. And that's what's fascinating about positive reinforcement based training, is that when you learn to understand the principles, pet parents are able to figure out, using their imagination, like, well, what could I do in this situation to make this better? So it's just so fascinating.
That's great, Linda. So for our audience to profit from your know-how and from your in-depth know-how, and from a know-how which is not only based on experience, but really based in a foundation of intellectual, educational, profound know-how, I would think, how can we get in touch with you? How can we profit from this, from your know-how? I mean, basically, we buy your book. That's the first step, right? That's a good step.
Yes, and the book is significantly scientifically cited. There are, I think, I have 183 scientific citations, because it's not just about Linda's opinion about this. It is Linda's opinion, but it's based in with an evidenced scientifically endorsed research, trying to make it palatable and useful to the average person. So just like with the hierarchy of dog needs, I created it for everybody. And you can go to the website, Do No Harm Dog Training, and download a free copy. You can purchase the book from the website as well. I created this for everybody. It's being used by veterinary behaviorists in presentations, as well as, like I said, with the average pet parent who can just put it on their wall. And it's a great conversation piece for trainers who are having events, to draw people into their booth and to get the conversation started.
And it's a great map for new dog owners, right? It's a great map for new dog owners. I think that's
absolutely. Yes,
so,
it is. Right.
So Linda, just because we need to come to an end in this, I mean, I would talk to you for another 2 hours, but I think you have something else which is really close to heart. And basically that's about do no harm, and looking at really being protective also in terms of the countries being protective of the dogs, and putting up rules and regulations which actually serve our animals, right? Rather than, constrain them, or, put them in shelters. And we have a lot of other issues which I think we need some support from our audience.
Right. And that is, why I created the hierarchy of dog needs, was because working at a shelter and volunteering there, when I went for that research project, one thing led to another, and I discovered the dogs just get a raw deal as so many, whether it's rough handling with veterinary care or rough handling at the groomer, or particularly, as far as I can see, in the United States, rough handling and training. In fact, not even rough handling, shock collars. Shock collars are extremely prolific in the United States. And it's because we need to strengthen our animal welfare protective laws, our animal anti-cruelty legislation. And now it's really come to a point where the only thing that's going to turn this around is legislation, because it's just become such a quagmire of myths about dog behavior, particularly about aggressive dogs who do not need a heavier hand. They are trying to defend themselves against a perceived threat. So yes, I'm glad we had an opportunity to bring that up. So, you know, I'm on that mission of incorporating this do no harm ethic into dog training around the
Thank you, Linda. That's really, and it was really important to me that we kind of had our audience hear that, because that's also the trajectory I really want to support everybody on. And just to end this conversation, I think the best method to educate a child as well as a dog is with a 4-letter word, right? With love. So that's
hierarchy of dog needs. I got a lot of flack from scientists about including love, but I stuck to it. And then they started publishing books with love in the title.
There you go. So
love is what scientists call attachment.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Linda, for everything. And you take care of yourself and keep the good work. And I'm sure we helped a lot of pet parents today to actually continue what you started.
Thank you, Peggy. I totally loved having this opportunity. And thank you for what you're doing. And for everyone out there who believes that being kind to dogs is good science.
Yes, absolutely. It is the best science. Bye, Linda. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.